Okay, guys, I'm back. She has sent me again. This is two quick trips to the grocery store, and you can go back and watch my other video about the me going to the grocery store if you'd like. But last time that I went, she sent me to a certain store, um, had a printout for me to follow with the directions and all that, and it worked out pretty good. There was a few things that I could have done better, but this time it's a little more. How can I put this? It's a little more intimate because it's a grocery store near the house, so it's not like it's a trip off. So it's not like a business trip. Um, it's handwritten. The notes handwritten. So again, more personal, more intimate, kind of a trip here. We're starting to get things for the holidays. So I'm getting stuff for like fruitcake and stuff like that. So again, if you watch my last video, it's a big deal. When your wife sends you off to do something like this. She's got shingles, so she's not in that much pain because she takes medication for stuff already that kind of helps with the. But anyway, she's she don't want to be going to the grocery store. I'll put it that way. So I'm going in her stead. And, on the way over here, I listened to some Dwight Yoakam. Um, so I'm ready for crying. There's a lot of crying, heartache, stuff like that in Dwight Yoakam songs. Drinking, a lot of drinking, crying, heartache kind of stuff. So I listened to that to kind of get myself in the mood in case things go bad. Okay, because they could. Any one of these trips are fraught with peril. Fraught with peril. Anything, it could go off the rails. So I'm bringing my A game today. Some of the mistakes on the last trip, um, we determined that we needed to have a sit down meeting before I went out to go over the list. We decided that the slight couple of mistakes I made last time, and I mean I emphasize slight, the slight mistakes that I made last time were pretty much purely due to lack of communication at the beginning. Even though she had it written out directions, there needed to be more communication. Um, and so I sat down and we talked about it, and which is hard to do because anytime you give a man a list, he's looking at the list. He's not going to look. He's not listening. He's looking at the list. So it's very hard because you just gave me something that I cannot avoid looking at and paying attention to, and then try to talk to me too. So like the other day, I went to Little Caesars and to get us a pizza because she's got shingles. So it's like just anything could happen. I mean, we're just eating hot dogs and stuff. So anyway, I go into Little Caesars and I'm looking at the menu thing up there because I was looking. They changed the name of their pizza to Detroit style pan pizza, and I was thinking, was that the same as their regular pan pizza? So I'm studying this menu up there, and the girl, and she was young girl. She's probably in her 20s, and she was like, okay, now let me go ahead and tell you what all we've got already ready in case you want to get something quick. And so she's going through these things, and I'm looking at that list, and she was just talking and telling me all. And I did hear her. She was saying, we got pepperoni, we got this, we got that, blah, blah, blah. And so then I got through looking at the list, and I looked at her, and she looked at me, and she said, you didn't hear a word I said, did you? And I thought, wow, how smart is this girl for to be this young, to be able to tell that what I just did was not listen to her, and I didn't. And I just looked at her. I said, "No, why would I listen to you?" So then we had a conversation about what kind of pizza I wanted, and it wasn't super smooth. And because they changed the names, and don't ever change anything. I just can't deal with that. And so we had a little conversation. She said, "Well, you want this," and I said, "Okay, I'm glad we got that worked out." She said, "Me too." But we were able to communicate because she understood somehow. Maybe she's got a dad or something. She understood that I was not listening to her. Don't ever assume that anybody is listening, um, and don't ever assume that they know what you're talking about. When I used to teach, um, I told Tammy came in one time because we had a career day and she was an architect and she came in and was going to talk to the kids about being an architect. So she comes in there and starts talking like an architect. And she said all this stuff and those kids just looked at her like she had three eyes. They were like, I have, and then finally one of them raised her hand and says, "Do you have to be good at math?" Because it eliminated 99% of them. And she was like, "Oh yeah, you got to be real good at math. I mean, it's all about math." And they were like, "Oh." And when we got through, when the first class left, Tammy looked at me and she's like, "They didn't understand anything I said." And I said, "Tammy, when you talk to kids and you teach people, you have to assume that they don't know anything. You got to talk to them and not talk down to them, but you have to explain things like they literally have no concept of what just assume they don't know anything." And so she did better after that. But you have to assume, even if your husband has cooked things, like today, I'm going to cook on her channel because she's got shingles. So I'm going to be the guest cooker. I've done that many times. And it's going to be live. And it's going to be something that's not easy to cook. And I can do it. I'm not worried about that. So you may want to look on Carter Valley Cooks and see my live action. But anyway, even if they're experienced, even if they've got the list many times before and successfully bought the things, don't ever take for granted. Where am I going with this? I'm kind of acting like I'm an idiot right now, aren't I? So I'm not. I know what to do. I know what to get. We've had our sit down, our pre-flight checklist thing, and we've communicated. We've looked at each other so that she knows I was listening, and we are ready. Let's go do it. Okay, I've really had to concentrate because these are things that are not, that you just don't buy all the time. They're special fruitcake kind of things. And when I was walking through here a while ago, a guy walked past me, and I mean, he practically just started laughing right in my face. I think you might have saw my last video. I'm not sure, but he just looked at me and I'm like, "Do I know you?" And then I've seen some people and I see some men in here, and they got some lists, and I mean, they are concentrating. Today requires a lot of concentration. They're concentrating. I'm concentrating. They got this music playing. They're talking over the thing. I need silence, and I might need to ask somebody some questions. Okay, it's time for the finger pointing to start. I, I'm pointing my finger at the store. I can't find the holiday fruit. The guy that I asked 4 or 5 other people. None of them knew where it was. They tried to get a manager. They couldn't get a manager. So everybody's pointing fingers at each other. Nobody knows where it's at. So I'm going to assume that they don't have it yet. Okay, I got to the checkout and I actually asked multiple people about where it would be. The cashier said that they only usually get it after around Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving, which is what I thought. So I'm going to be going home without 1, 2, 3, like 4 or 5 items that that I'm not going to have. So, like I said, let the finger pointing begin. I feel that I did all that I could do. I mean, she's not making fruitcake today, so we got time. There's time. But I will say that failure to plan is planning to fail. So all you fruitcake makers out there, fruitcake makers out there, get your fruitcake making items early. I tried. I tried. Now, as a follow up to that video, this is a few days later, just so you know, after I did this fantastic job of getting the things, the hamburger meat became an issue. She told me not to get hamburger meat unless it was under a certain price per pound. So I bought a 3 pound tube of hamburger meat that came in just under the price that she told me. And so the next day, me and her were in the kitchen doing, a video, I think, for her channel. And she said, why didn't you give me the hamburger meat? I said, I did. I got 3 pounds of hamburger meat. She was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I got 3 pounds. You didn't put it in the refrigerator? She said, no, I never saw 3 pounds of hamburger meat. So in the back of this car, the hamburger meat, because it was in a tube, rolled between the seats in the back and fell down in between the seats. So the hamburger meat was ruined. I spent $14 or $15 on hamburger meat that we didn't even get to eat. So even as careful as you are, and even if you shop the way you want, things can happen. Things can happen that you do not anticipate, that are horrible things, like your hamburger meat being left in your car for a day or two. Even the best shoppers can have issues. So that's what happened. Just so you understand, even though things look perfect, they weren't.